Hello and welcome to SPORTSWOMEN Australia, a podcast celebrating the up-and-coming and bona fide stars of Australian sportswomen and the female power brokers behind the scenes. Tiffany Cherry joining you alongside my fabulous co-host Amanda Cellante. And today we have one of the most famous Australian winter names on the scene, on the planet, Belle Brockhoff, who is a gun snowboarder. She's a dual Winter Olympian who's competed at 2 World Championships. She stood on the World Cup podium 7 times with 3 victories. And winter sport runs in her family with her uncle Peter, a 2-time Winter Olympian in alpine skiing. Her grandpa Harold was one of the original pioneers of Mount Buller. And the one that I love the most, because it was the first black run that I ever skied, Amanda, was none other than Joyce Brockhoff, who we have the Brockhoff run at Mount Hotham named after. And Joyce was she was honoured because of her services to Australian women in snow sports, and one of those being president of the Australian Women's Ski Club. So, Belle, you had many people setting the standard for you as a young kid.
Yeah, definitely. It was something that I had to kind of step my game up a little bit too.
Was it just a given that you were going to be put on skis, I think, at the age of 3?
Yeah, I reckon so. Like, my family helped, as you just listed out, like, helped do with snow sports, and I kind of just got thrown on a pair of skis when I was 3 years old, and it took off from there.
Tiff did mention, there is the family name. Did you ever feel there was pressure from that to perform or to achieve a certain standard, or did you kind of try and just pave your own way?
No pressure at all. I just loved snowboarding. When I picked up my first snowboard when I was 10, I just fell in love with it and just said that's what I want to do. And I had, lucky enough for me, I had really supportive parents that wanted to help me and guide me through it, and here I am.
So you started with skiing and then you made the swap over to Snowboard Cross. Can you tell us a little bit about when that happened and why you made that decision?
So my mum got her first snowboard when I was 9. And then I got quite jealous, so she made me a deal. She was like, right, well, let's get you to Black Kangaroos in ski school, which is like the highest level in ski school, and I'll get you a snowboard. So that's what I did, and I got a snowboard the following year and just kept on riding from first chairlift to the very last every single day, and just became completely obsessed with it. And then eventually I decided to focus on snowboard GS, which is a different discipline than snowboarding, and eventually my parents told me to stop doing that when I turned 19 because it was quite expensive to do and there was no funding in Australia for it. So I switched over to watercross.
So let's just go back to when you were 10, first of all. Within weeks, you won the Australian Schoolgirls title. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Australian Inter-Schools Nationals. So that's a race that they have on every single year, and we weren't really expecting anything. I was on rental boards, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
We just kind of gave it a crack, and then I won it, and I thought, oh yeah, this is kind of fun. Let's keep going.
And so why then Snowboard Cross? What is it that attracted you to that particular discipline?
Originally, I was quite scared of competing in border cross, of all the big features and jumps and turns and all these people around you. But I eventually, as I got a little bit older, I was like, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. So I started, training the sport and working my way up on bigger features. And eventually I found myself competing on the world circuit 1 year after coming into the sport. So that was a bit of a kind of rushed up into that level, and had to learn as much as possible, as quickly as possible, to compete with all these other girls who had been in the sport since they were 12 years old.
So how did you go about learning all that stuff in such a short amount of time? Like, was your training really intense, or what sort of coaching did you have?
Yeah, I'd say quite intense training. For me personally, I'd put pressure on myself to be the very first athlete to be there training and the very last, and I'd just train hard, but not to a point where I was exhausted, but just smart. So I'd do one lap and quickly look at the video and see what I had to improve, and just make those improvements then and there, rather than filming my runs and then coming away for the day, looking at it and then making improvements the next day. So it was quite quick improvements, and I'm a very visual learner, so I need video rather than coach saying, oh, could you just do this with your body or whatever it may be.
So it sounds like you have quite a good analysis of your own performance. It seems like you were giving yourself your own feedback from what you were looking at, or did you need a bit more direction from your coach as well?
it's hard to say other than, like, my mum was always told me, like, if you work hard, you'll get there. Doesn't matter how talented you are. If you work hard enough and you are determined and you have the passion for it, you'll get there. So that's what I did. I kept my head down, and eventually I just got to the level that I wanted and started working my way up the World Cup rankings.
So for those, Belle, who are listening and the uninitiated in winter sports, but in particular snowboard cross, can you describe what the actual race is, which I've seen it at the Winter Olympics, and you've also got it as the ski cross. It's a bit like sort of the BMX racing. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I originally, when people don't know what it is, I say that it's like we have seen BMX racing. It's similar to that, except we have 4 to 6 riders, and we go down in heats, and first top 2 or 3 go through to the next round, and we're basically racing from the start where the gates drop. We pull out, we have a start section, and we go into a few other features before the first turn or big feature, and there's a few more turns and a few more big jumps that could range from 30 feet to my biggest jump that I've ever hit is a 120-foot jump.
Wow.
So you're in the air for a very long time, and I do shit myself every time. It's so scary. It's just practice, like I said, and then you just find the fastest line and try and be the best rider each and every time and just give it your all.
So there's a lot of argy-bargy, isn't there? This is not one for those who are a bit shy or don't really want to be touched and manhandled while they're competing.
No, you have to. You definitely have to have guts. You have to enjoy it first and foremost. You have to love it, and you just have to think of tactics and just being. It teaches you to be so incredibly present because it's only 50 to a minute and a half in the longer races where you have to have every bit of you switched on, and if you're not, then you'll probably make mistakes, and that's where other girls or other competitors will take advantage of those mistakes because they probably won't be making those same mistakes as you.
So how do you prepare yourself mentally for that? How do you get yourself into the mindset where you're going to be so switched on and ready to go?
It just comes from preparation. So it goes back even down to like my off season when I'm training here in Australia. I do the programs I'm given, but also I think as an athlete and how I see it, you're responsible of looking for those extra 1%ers, whether it's like having an extra recovery session here or there or bringing in different training programs that you need personally that's going to get you there. So, for example, I love boxing. I think it's such a great sport. I do it because I believe that increasing your fatigue under your focus under fatigue is so important because when you're in those competition zones, you know, your brain's thinking so much, you're getting tired there, you're physically getting tired, so then your focus goes down and you want to keep that focus up because that's what's going to get you across the finish line and perform the very best. So I've hired a coach. He flogs me or gasses me in the first 5 minutes and then I have to hang on for the next 50 minutes. So if I don't have my game on, I'm going to get hit in the head. It isn't fun, but, you know, it forces you to be present and be switched on.
So when you take us just through your mind when you're standing on that front of that line at the start of the race, what are you actually thinking about in that present moment?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, I have to be so present, and if I'm thinking about different things or thinking about the moves that I have to make, then I will make a mistake. Like, as soon as I hop into my gate routine, and if you're watching border cross, everyone has their own routine. I've got my routine. As soon as I hop in that gate, put my snowboard on, everyone knows not to talk to me, and I just zone on in and do my routine.
So with the boxing, I just want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about, like Taylor Harris, who we're chatting to in a few weeks, have you ever thought about doing any professional bouts or, you know, jumping in a ring, whether even if it was just...
Yeah, look, I love it. I would love to do it. I've just had 8 concussions.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a lot of head hits, and boxing is you go into a ring knowing that you get punched in the face. But my coaches that I've had in the past in boxing, they've said, we really want you to fight Taylor Harris.
We've preempted it. It's out in the public now.
It's public. Oh my God. But it would be something really fun to do. I just have to, I have to put my health first, and that's my head. And I know that can get pretty gnarly with concussions, but it would be something that I'd love to do.
I mentioned you're a two-time Olympian, and we'll break those down. We'll go into them a little deeper. But when you talk about being tough physically and mentally, this is pretty much tops it. You tore your ACL prior to the 2018 Winter Olympics, only a couple of months before, and tore it twice, and then decided not to undergo full knee reconstruction because it meant that the Olympics were definitely off the table. And somehow you managed to actually compete, and not only compete, made the semi-finals and finished 11th. How did you focus your mind to, one, stay in the game, and two, to be able to, put the difficulty of not having an ACL competing in such a frenetic sport when you're standing on that, at that gate and that start line?
I would say it's either like kind of doing as much research as possible or just being completely stupid and kind of going for it. I think it was a mix of both. I think every athlete is mentally crazy to do their sport. I think you have to be, because you have this crazy obsession over it to become as good as you are. For me, it was crazy where I worked my way up to world number one, and I wanted to win a gold medal at Pyeongchang. That was the ultimate goal. And suddenly that was stripped away from me. And deep down, I had a bit of confidence that I could win a medal, but not 100%. I wouldn't say it was like me giving up, but it was facing reality at the same time. Like, these girls are working so hard, and the sport has progressed so much that for me, with this, I guess, sort of disadvantage, it's probably not a possibility. So I did what I could to get back. I had a very successful rehab, and then unfortunately did my ACL again at the World Cup in France. And I had to make a decision that day when I found out I blew my ACL again to compete. I wanted to compete because I knew that if I didn't, I'd regret it. And that's something that I don't like living with. So I came home, did a scope, and they cleared out all the cartilage and bits and pieces that were floating around that I could feel. I mean, it wasn't great. I also had a bit of bone bruising, and I just started a very intense rehab to get me back on snow. And even then, when I competed before the Olympics, I had to prove that I could actually compete at the World Cup in Selberg, which was quite surprisingly successful for me. I got a third place in the time trials and then finished up 8th overall. And then, and during that time, mental stuff, I just had to really practice looking for positives every single day and practicing self-belief every day. And what I had written up in my room was, I am Olympic champ. I had to really engulf myself in that, because if I let any negative thoughts slip into my mind, I wasn't going to be able to compete. Because these courses that we have at the Olympics are a lot larger, they're faster, and they're things that we aren't really used to on World Cup. So I had to over-prepare myself, both physically and mentally, so that I was ready for the games. And I was not ready for the games. It was such a different experience. Like, I was in a lot of pain. There was still knee bruising. Every move that I made hurt a lot physically. I was crying after each lap, because it was like quite a painful physical experience for me, and I was having all these painkillers to try and help, but it didn't really help. And I didn't want to cry because it fog up my goggles and I couldn't see. So I was in all sorts. But doing the research and just taking inspiration from other athletes who have made incredible comebacks, and talking to athletes on how they deal with pain or injuries helped a lot. And also knowing what the mind can do, and it can do incredible things, because what I believe is, it's a muscle, and you can train it to do anything. And that's what I had to keep in my head every single day. It wasn't just physical training, it was mental training.
So what does your mental health training sort of look like? How do you prepare yourself and strengthen your mind to that point where you can put your body through that kind of horrible experience, is what it sounds like? How did you get it to that strength?
It was, I've been doing a lot of, since my knee injury, my first one, I was doing a lot of meditation after each training session. So I'd meditate, and that was kind of like a switch off as well. So from your body having this crazy high of training, bring it back down to a nice resting state. Also practicing positivity every morning, having my own little routine in the morning, being very grateful for everything. And then also like reading different books about different athletes. That helps a lot. So it was really simple things, but for me personally, that helps a lot. And then looking back at what I have achieved in the past and knowing that was me then, I can bring that into the now and the future and add on to it. So knowing my capabilities and having confidence in who I am, not in a cocky way, just in a very confident way that empowered myself to do those things.
And this has been a long journey for you in terms of your mind, the strength of your mind and your mental health. You suffered anxiety and depression as a teenager. Can you take us back to that time and how that made you feel and how you were able to overcome that?
Yeah, so I hit pretty hard. I mean, my depression grew from when I was in primary school. So I was bullied, and that was on and off the snow in schools, on the snow, and that was verbally and physically. And that kind of, it stopped after a few years, and then a few years later that started to amplify and get worse and worse. So I started hating myself. I started waking up quite disappointed that I woke up, and I had quite suicidal thoughts and started self-harming as well. So that hit a very low point by the time I was 18, when I was in year 12. And for me, like, one of the main reasons why I stuck with snowboarding is because it gave me a lot of peace. So I didn't think about anything other than being in the moment and just snowboarding. And that's probably why I was so obsessive about it as well. Not only it gave me peace, it's just something that I really loved doing. It made me feel good about myself. So I kept doing that. And obviously, I've been through a couple of psychologists and gone through all that. It's only now I've actually found a psychologist that I love working with and I have such a strong connection with. But that's not for depression now or anxiety. That's just, for those 1% that I want to find. So it does take time. After high school, I've never liked school, and I've never liked, putting my head down on a textbook. It's funny because I'm doing uni now.
And studying law.
That,
hello.
Yeah. That's
book after book after book.
I know, it's so much reading. But after school, I was managed to put my full self into snowboarding, and just climbed up the rankings, did lots of competitions. I had so much fun, and that pulled me out of my depression and anxiety. And I still have depths of bits of sadness and then a bit of anxiety, but nothing that's concerning. It's just bits and pieces. But I know how to handle it. I know what to do with myself when that happens. And I've never, said oh, that was such a bad experience, that was horrible, whatever. It's those things that I've gone through, depression, anxiety, my knee blowouts, have been such a blessing because they've given me things that are adding so much value to my snowboarding and life in general, and I'm so grateful for it. And it's not to say go get injured, go have depression, go make yourself really sad. It just happened, and I've learned from it, and I'm very grateful for that.
So what would you say, Belle, to any kids or adults listening who suffer from anxiety, depression, or who are bullied, kids especially, or parents of kids who are undergoing that? And I know you work for Lifeline, or you do things for Lifeline Australia, and suicide is such a major issue in Australia, especially amongst our young Australians. What would you say to those people who are experiencing that situation, similar to, but obviously different framework of what you experienced?
I would say, from my experiences as most psychologists, you should have things in place that you should try and have in your life, which are a hobby, something that you love doing, having a good network of friends and family around you, and keeping yourself healthy, looking after your body, and your heart. Those three things are really important. And then also knowing that there are many services like Beyond Blue, Lifeline, on the doing a lot of work with them, and they have amazing, services out there for you, and they're all available for you 24/7. And that's the beauty of it. You can call up. There's people for you to chat to. So there's help there. There's people that want to help you. The only responsibility that you have to take is to reach out yourself, because no one knows what you're feeling on the inside. And it takes, I think, I know, because I struggled to tell someone my sadness because I was so worried of being a burden to them. Whereas when I did start reaching out and looking and searching online, there's so many people out there that are going through similar things, and there is help for it. So taking that first step to reach out is really important, and that's going to help you later on, what I feel anyway. In terms of bullying, I think kids or anyone in general, if you see bullying, you should aim to shut that down straight away. Not in yell at them or throw hate back or whatever it may be, because that's bullying, putting bullying with bullying. It doesn't work. Educate them. Teach them to be nice. That's something that's really important to me anyway.
I couldn't agree with you more. And sort of along those similar lines, but so we talk about obviously 2018 Olympics, Winter Olympics, and then 2014 we had Sochi, were your first Olympics. To add to, I suppose, the pressure of that, you came out as gay in 2013.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was hectic.
What did you not have enough on your plate, just, being a teenager and obviously dealing with your own stuff and trying to make your Olympic debut? Or was it actually a matter of the pressure was eased by feeling that you're able to actually, openly be yourself?
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I've never experienced such media, global media on that type of stage before. And I was very excited, amped up, and I was ready to say whatever was on my mind. And then that was, I guess when I look back at my 21-year-old self, I was like, oh, you probably could have put on the reins a little bit. But for me, I think that was a cool moment to come out. I did cop a lot of backlash, a lot of backlash. So now I never Google myself because of that. But it's just, I just felt ready to come out, and just people asked that question, and I thought, all right, we'll just come out right now. I just thought, screw it, let's just do it now. And that's just my personality type. I'm like, all right, just do it. Just get on with it. Let's, even in my snowboarding, let's drop a heat, let's hit that jump, let's just get it on with, just get over and done with rather than overthink the situation. But that was me. I was happy to come out. My parents got a bit of a shock, so I hadn't told them at the time. So,
hey, by the way, watch the news tonight.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, they're really cool with it. I've had a lot of support from that, and I'm hoping I've had a few messages from it at the time that people felt a little bit more comfortable with themselves and coming out, and I hope it did more than just that. So yeah.
And what's it been like since then? After you came out, it's years down the track. Has anyone ever brought it up with you since then in a negative way, or has it only ever been looked on as a positive?
It's only ever been positive, which it's never been anything really. It's just me and many other people are the same. It's just who we are. Straight people that come out as straight.
Exactly. Hey, by the way, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm straight. No, but it's been cool. And I am mindful, if I'm with a partner and I am traveling, I am mindful of those countries because I am in that country and in their house, and I know their laws. For example, Malaysia. For example, my mum's from Malaysia. She grew up there. She's just got an Australian passport recently, last year actually. But the laws there are life in prison or death for being gay.
And wasn't it the same in Russia? Wasn't that Putin had passed a law, something along those lines?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was for the athletes to not talk about being gay or saying it's okay to be gay or queer or whatever you identify as. That was not allowed. And that was just for the Olympics coming, because there was always a bit of a political element coming into the games, and that was just one of the laws that he put there. But when I talked to some of the locals, they were pretty chilled about it. It's just, I guess, who you meet. And they're the nicest people, the Russians. They're so lovely. They've always been nice to me, and that's just what they believe in, and you have to have an open mind to people's upbringing, their cultures and everything. You can't just say, no, equality, just 100%. Like, you can't not be for equality. You just have to, it's a slow process. You have to educate people, because they could have a belief in certain things over 30, 40 years, and to change that in a day, it just doesn't happen. You have to educate people.
So what's on the agenda for you now? You're 26. You're pretty much really in the prime of your athletic career. And
Yeah.
how is the knee, and what is the focus for you now?
Well, the knee's feeling all right. Like, I had the Australian New Zealand champs, and it's 4 races. I decided to compete in just the one, and I won it, which was an awesome stepping stone for me. It's the first race I've competed in /won since Pyeongchang, since my surgery. So I'm very excited for that and very happy with how it's tracking. Thank you. And I also had a bit of a crash 2 weeks before, and I took out these 2 V-netting fences without a knee brace on, which was actually quite good, because it gave me a bit of confidence in knowing how strong my knee is and my body is. So that was a good thing. It was a bit gnarly to watch, but it was kind of fun. And I'm heading overseas in November, so next month, and I'm going to be over there competing on the World Cups through to March. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting times. Like, it's nice to be finally doing my sport after 2.5 years of just rehabbing and training. I get to do what I love, and I'm very excited for it.
So obviously, Belle, you've travelled all over the world and you've done all kinds of different runs. Do you have a favourite run back home in Australia, or a favourite mountain that you just absolutely love going to? Maybe other than Brockhoff?
I'll probably have to say Brockhoff, don't I?
Second favourite.
Yeah, all the mountains are sick. Like, Perisher has an unreal slopestyle park, and Hotham is so supportive of border cross. Like, they always host the ANCs, the Australian New Zealand Championships, and they also give us a track there to train on. So that's been unreal. And then Mabel as well, like, they're being really supportive, and we have a house up there that they support us with, and they make sure that we have what we need, and we just free ride there, which is awesome. So, like, all the mountains are really supportive, and we're really grateful for it. So, like, and they have their own, like, unique features about them, So we have track at Hotham, which is awesome to ride. Buller has great free riding, and then Perisher has great slopestyle facilities. So it's awesome. I can't really say, to be honest.
What about the Winter Olympics 2022? How are the Australians looking? We're I suppose each Olympics we're getting better. We've won gold medals, and a number of them slightly from Zali Stegel way back in, I think in 98. So where are we tracking?
I think we're tracking pretty good. I'd like to say that. Like, there's been a lot of progression, and you see like a lot of juniors coming through the sport who are winning World Cup medals now, which is awesome, and they're slowly getting better and better, which is awesome to see. You want to see that progression, and it's all coming together for Beijing, which will be really interesting. It's going to be very cold, which I'm not looking forward to. I really hate the cold. It's funny that, because I'm a snowboarder.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think everyone's feeling really good, and our team in particular, like, we've got quite a few guys now who have won World Cup medals, and that's really exciting to see. And we've become very tight as a team, and we're working together, and we've got the mixed gender team event, which is another gold medal chance in the mix for us.
Cool.
So it's myself, unless another female pops up. Right now it's just myself and one other guy, and we team up. And we basically do the same format as border cross, but more of a relay sort of style. So the guy or girl would drop first. If that person crosses the finish line first, that'll open up the gate for the female or male straight away. So the faster you get down, the faster you can drop the gate for the other rider.
Sounds like awesome fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. I get so nervous watching replays, and then I know what's going to happen, but it's nail-biting stuff. So
what about once you finally kiss your snowboard cross career goodbye, whenever that is, you're starting to be a lawyer at this point in time. What can you see on the horizon for Belle?
No idea, to be honest. I like helping people. I love coaching. I love mentoring. I love businesses and all that sort of stuff. Right now, because sponsorship's really hard to get in snowboarding, or winter sports in general. It's actually really hard to get. So I'm looking at different ways, thinking outside the box, and looking at getting equity in brands, so I can help grow that brand as a business of my own, and then also after sport as well. So the commerce law degree is just giving me that understanding of the laws, because laws go across everything. It's just part of everything in your life, really. And just commerce is more the business side of things. So yeah, and I'm really highly motivated to learn. I'm actually excited for this degree, which I never thought I'd ever say. I've always given a bit of crap to the law students, but turns out studying law now. So
it just goes to show what you can do when you're happy, right? When you're being yourself, and as you said, you didn't like school as a kid, but you found that happiness and that inner peace. Yeah,
exactly. And I feel ready to learn something textbook wise. I found, it's so funny, side story, I found a letter from a doctor a couple of years ago, meaning when I was 7, that a doctor had written up saying that I'm dyslexic. And after all these years, I found out right now that's why I struggled so much in school.
As simple as that.
Yeah, it gave me a bit of confidence for starting my law degree. So I'm like, oh, wow, thanks, Mum. Really appreciate that. But you just have to find new ways to learn.
Well, Belle, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, getting to understand and know more about you, and an incredible story, really. And it's just a testament to you for all the hurdles and obstacles that you've overcome to be where you are today, and everything that you've achieved. So congratulations, and we can't wait to keep watching you on this journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And thanks, Belle. And if you want to follow Belle on Twitter, you can follow her at Belle Brockhoff. And you can also check out Belle's website, which is bellebrockoff.com.
And also Instagram, I think you're Belle Brockhoff as well, isn't it, Belle?
Yeah, just try and keep it simple.
Keep it simple. All right, Belle, thanks so much, and thanks for tuning in to yet another podcast of Sportswomen Australia.
And you can follow us too at Sportswomen Australia on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter at Sportswomen AU.